Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Breaking down the teams you're passionate about. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I know he's probably tired of us, but hey, the Mammoth keep winning. We're going to keep talking to him. Jay Stevens, Utah Puck Report, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jay, we said 4 or 5 points on the road. That would be a successful road trip. They come home with a full 6, and they do it in convincing fashion, outscoring opponents. I think it was like 19-8 over those 3 games. Just how impressive is this roadie for the Mammoth?
It was huge and so important for them to pick up those 6 points. You've seen how crazy the Western Conference is getting for those wild card spots. So Utah's keeping that distance, and they're doing what they need to do. I just left the practice facility. I had a chance to talk to a couple of the guys. I talked to Nate Schmidt about those starts on the road and giving up that first goal real quick, and how, they seem to just be.
It looks like we lost him. We'll try to get him back and connected. Jay Stevens, Utah Puck Report. So recapping the road trip, they started off with a win against the Kings, 6-2. Then they have a few days off. Then they go to Seattle, take on the Kraken, win that game 6-2. And then they square off against Vancouver on the 4th and win that game 7-4. So the offense is clicking. This team continues on its hot streak. And they do it in a couple different ways. First off, you look at that Kings game, and Utah comes out on fire. Just boom, boom, boom. Puts the game away. Seattle, on the other hand, you look up and they're down 2-1 and very close to being down 3-1. They wiped off a goal, and then all of a sudden Utah reels off 5 in a row over the last 2 periods and wins that game 6-2. And then you go to Vancouver, and the offense is clicking, sure, but you give up a couple of back-to-back goals. As Lloyd mentioned, it gets to 5-4. You start to get a little nervous. And then ultimately, Utah shuts the door and ends up winning that game 7-4. So 19 goals scored, 8 against. Sergachev, again, continues to just anchor that blue line. He had 5 points on the trip. You had Cooley and Gunther leading the forwards. And then the power play was a weapon all week long. Frankly, it was a dominant road trip when they had to have it. They found a way to get it done, and now you look at this Mammoth team as I think Andre Tierney brought it up in one of our Mammoth at 50 updates. He said, look, everybody keeps winning. Everybody keeps doing their thing, so we've got to find a way to make sure that they keep winning. And so the margin of error really isn't that much better than what we saw before with this Mammoth team. And so you just got to put the foot on the gas and find a way to hopefully keep the W's coming. Because, again, margin of error, relatively slim. Now, it makes it a little bit harder when you got Edmonton rolling into town coming up tomorrow at Delta Center. And by the way, if you have not seen Connor McDavid up close and in person, you need to find a way to make that happen. Go get your tickets. Find a way to get into that building coming up tomorrow, because that will be must-see TV for sure. You want to be either in front of your TV watching that game. Better yet, you want to be in the Delta Center watching that game. That's the type of game you're going to want to make sure that you witness, because the Mammoth playing their best hockey of the season against a superstar like what you're going to see in Edmonton, I mean, that's pretty much all you got to see right there. Honestly, too, when you look at also the momentum coming down the stretch as this Mammoth team, I don't think you can underestimate those 4 days off that the Mammoth had between that Kings game and the Kraken game, because I think that was absolutely critical for this team to get back to where they needed to be. All right, Jay's back on the line with us. Jay, I was just mentioning, when you look back at this road trip overall, it wasn't necessarily a traditional road trip because they had those 4 days off between the Kings and the Kraken. Just how valuable do you think that was in them going 3-0 on this trip?
Yeah, you kind of wonder, because they complained that that's one of the reasons they got off to the slow start. But these guys are banged up. And even today, there were a lot of guys missing from practice that were having a maintenance day. So I think that 4 days off definitely gave them a chance to heal some guys that were that were banged up and give Veggie a little bit more of a rest. But then they got off to those slow starts, gave up a goal within the first few minutes of the first game back. So it's one of those double-edged swords. You never know what's better. You even saw it, I heard him talking about it during the college basketball March Madness, too. They're like, hey, some of these teams had to keep playing for their lives, and some of them had days off. And the ones with the days off didn't seem as great at first, but then eventually got to their game.
So when you score 7 goals on 24 shots, that's a pretty efficient night at the office, correct?
Yeah, and to keep doing that was unreal, right? To see him put up that's what they keep talking about, is that high potent offense they have, and to finally see those coming through with big numbers on those games, it's been pretty impressive and a lot of fun to watch for sure.
So down the stretch we come, and we just played a cut from Andre Tierney. He said, hey, as much fun as it was going 3-0 on that road trip, everybody's winning, everybody's doing well. So again, you can't lift your foot off the gas here.
Yeah, and Utah's path gets harder, right? Even though they're home, playing Edmonton, Nashville, both those teams are chasing. They're wanting better positioning. So those are not going to be easy games. Edmonton just got beat up in their last game by Vegas. So they're going to come in angry and looking to prove a point. And then Nashville's chasing. And every night you go to bed and you look at the standings and there's somebody else in that wild card 2 spot. Right now that is Nashville that's in the wild card 2 out of the Western Conference. So the games just keep getting harder. And then Carolina comes in. Carolina is one of the favorites to win the Cup. They're just efficient. They're effective in everything they do. They've got great goaltending, which is another story. A kid that they picked up off waivers that's been doing really well. And it's not an easy 3-game homestand like you'd want it to be to get some distance.
Yeah, I mean, home's great, but I think the one thing we've seen out of this Mammoth team is that there's not a huge discrepancy in success home versus the road. You'd think, okay, now it's going to be nice to be at home, but the way this team's playing on the road, you may not mind a road game in there, 2 or 3 of those mixed in.
Yeah, it's funny. After we talked about that, I looked it up to see what are the stats over the last 10 years. I think I actually went back 20 years. What are the stats over the last 20 years on home teams winning during the regular season? It's 54%, and then home teams winning during the playoffs, it drops to 52%. So home ice may not be that much of an advantage like we always thought it was. Maybe it's the distractions, your wife or kids or whatever. I know I mentioned mowing the lawn, and people started like having Keller mow the lawn or something. And I got a lot of email about that. Like, there's no way he mows his own lawn. But yeah, it's, you'd expect him to take care of business at home. Like I said, tough schedule at home, but hopefully we really think they need like 3 more wins out of the next 6 games, and that should give them the distance they need.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Nashville right on the heels, and it just seems like between them and St. Louis, it's just been an interesting back and forth. And what we're seeing, for that spot, this could be eliminated pretty quick. About a 5-point differential between Nashville, and then you look at the Kings, about a 5-point differential there. I mean, this thing could turn on its head very quickly. Yeah,
it could. And that's the one thing we've really got to focus on as a fan base is you're just hoping that Utah keeps that distance. They've got to pick up a couple wins here, and it's playoff hockey basically for everybody right now. Everybody's fighting. Everybody knows that any loss could eliminate them or make it harder for them to make the playoffs. So you really got to have that Game 7 mentality going in, and we're seeing Utah they've been able to do that on the road. I mean, putting up that many goals has been unreal. And Edmonton just gave up 7 goals the other night to Vegas. So it can be done, and it'd be amazing for them to start right off with a win. But, yeah, Nashville's got 81 points. The Kings have 81 points. The Sharks have 79 points. St. Louis has 78 points. So they're all right there. And then a lot of people have asked about the tiebreak. If all those teams are tied, it goes to who has the most regulation wins without going to a shootout. So it'll be interesting because LA has had the most overtime games like anybody's ever heard of in the NHL. I think they're at 31 games, and they've got 19 losses in overtime. It's just unheard of how many times they've gone into overtime.
You know what's crazy is looking at Anaheim. They're 41-31 on the season. They've got 87 points on the year, and yet they're minus 14 in goal differential. I mean, that's just like, wait, what? That's crazy.
That is crazy, and it's one of those things Bill Armstrong pointed out. Typically, the teams that make the playoffs never have a negative goal differential. And you're seeing, like, Anaheim with minus 14, and they did have some goaltender issues at the beginning. And at the beginning of the year, they weren't that great, and they were giving up a lot of goals. But to finish the season, I mean, we're this far into the season, and for them to be minus 14, and then you look at Nashville, minus 22, LA minus 26, and then the Sharks are minus 36. But they're just, like, the Sharks seem to just be, they play like 3 really great games, and then they just, they lay an egg. So the Sharks are pretty inconsistent and young. But and same with the Ducks. The Ducks are a young team too, just like the Mammoth. So it's interesting to see any of these teams contending for the playoffs that have a minus goal differential.
If there's a team out there that not Mammoth related, let's just say you can choose a random team, but you have to pay to watch them play. Is Edmonton pretty high up on that list?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Edmonton would be up there. To watch Connor McDavid. If they don't play Utah in the first round, I hope Draisaitl comes back. He's such an amazing player. He's been hurt, and if he comes back healthy, they're a lot of fun to watch. Anaheim's been a lot of fun to watch too. But man, if you're going to spend money to watch a team and you're going to pick up a new team to be a fan of, it's hard not to really love what the Colorado Avalanche do, because they've got that high-speed offense. They've got one of the best defensemen. He'll probably go down as one of the best defensemen to ever play the game in Kel McCarr. And then you got McKinnon up front, and they're just loaded, and they have 2 solid goaltenders. So if I'm going to pay money to watch a team, I think I'd want to watch Colorado, but I'm still a Mammoth fan. I don't want the
No. That's why I'm saying you can't choose the Mammoth. We had that. We laid that out there. Boy, you talk about goal differential there, plus 91. Yeesh. That's a crazy number.
They just are. I mean, they're just dismantling every team they play against, and they're just scary good. And I talked about how good Carolina is, and they're only plus 47. Tampa Bay is plus 66. But Colorado has 110 points already. They've already won 50 games. They are just a scary team to watch. But the NHL has this history of whoever wins the President's Trophy, which means you have the most wins and the most points at the end of the season. They don't usually win the Stanley Cup. It's a really weird thing. It's like one out of the last 10 years.
Interesting. All right, it's like winning the par 3 tournament before the Masters. You want no part of that. All right, so when you look at this final stretch, you think 3 games, that's your magic number. 3 wins down the stretch get you there?
Yeah, and I want to take credit for that, but that's what Torini said today as well. So they really feel like 3 games. Actually, it's Bill Armstrong. Bill's the one that said it today. 3 games seems to be the magic number here. If they get 3 games, gives them 6 more points. That should give them enough to keep that spot, that first wild card spot by the end of the season. Because Utah's not the only one with a tough road ahead. So all the other teams got to play each other, and especially if they can get a win against Nashville and if they can get a win against St. Louis, those are the teams that'll give them the space they need to make the playoffs in that wild card 1 spot.
We talk a lot about some of the stars on this team. How much credit should Sergachev be getting for what he's been able to do on that blue line?
A ton. I mean, he's been an anchor back there. But and he eats up a ton of minutes. When you look at the guys that play the most minutes for this team, Sergachev and Ian Cole, and completely different style of defenseman. Cole's out there, and it always looks like he's working his tail off. And people watch Mikhail Sergachev, and they think he's not working that hard, but he's always in the right spot. He just has a casual way of skating. He's still working. He still seems to be in the right spot all the time, anchoring down, getting great. Like he picks up good points. And, he's still got a good plus minus. He's just been one of those guys that have been – you just can't really put a number on how important he's been to this team. but he's out there for all the most important moments. He's out there right after they get a goal or right after they get scored on. That's who you can tell who your coach really counts on. Who does he put out right after you give up a goal? Who's going to go out there and stabilize the team? It's always Sergachev. So that speaks volumes of what the coaching staff thinks of him.
How much, when you look at a stat sheet after a game, how much are you looking at face-off win percentages?
I look at it quite a bit, and they break it down offensive and defensive zone, and those defensive zone wins, or especially in overtime, you've got to win those face-offs, right, where puck possession means everything. And as these games get more important and the goals are going to be harder to come by, like, don't expect these 6-goal games. I don't expect the Mammoth to keep putting up 6 on everybody. I expect these games to get a little tighter. You're going to see some 1-0s and 2-1 games, and it comes down to who's going to win that face-off in your defensive zone, because puck's got to get out of your zone and in the other zone, and that becomes the focus as you get closer to the playoffs. And they definitely end playoffs. Pucks in, pucks out. It's as simple as that, and it starts at that face-off.
Who Mammoth are playing well. Who do you consider the hot? I mean, in Colorado's just been a machine all year, but late season surge. Who are you keeping an eye on?
Well, what the LA Kings have been able to do, because if you keep in mind, they fired their coach a little while ago. They weren't doing very well. They were way out of the playoffs. And for them to kind of skyrocket since basically Christmas and be battling for this playoff spot, the LA Kings are dangerous, because that's exactly how they won their first Stanley Cup. They had to win the last night of the regular season, and then they barely made the playoffs by winning the last game of the regular season. They made the playoffs and just went on a tear and won the Stanley Cup. So I think the LA Kings is who I'd say are the most dangerous. The San Jose Sharks can be, if they can figure out how to be a little more consistent. And they've surprised a lot of people lately with that Macklin Celebrini putting up so many points and just being this young phenom. Both those teams are really scary if they make it into the playoffs, and I think they just keep rising.
All right, so we've talked to a lot of hockey people. I apologize if we've discussed this already, but what's going on in Vegas, man? Is that just an organization where, they will just cut your throat at any given moment?
Yeah, you look at how fast they fire coaches, and it's mind-boggling to me that you can go to the Stanley Cup one year, the first year in your team's existence, you don't win the Stanley Cup, so they fire you as a coach. They bring in another coach who makes it to the Stanley Cup. They just fire guys all the time. What they did to Marc-Andre Fleury turned a ton of fan base off to how they handled their players, and having players find out they've been traded or released online. They're just a cutthroat organization. And, I know a lot of people want to play there because they want to live there and they have a winning culture. But at some point they got to look at, you're going to see free agents say, no, I don't trust the organization because of how cutthroat they are. There's no loyalty at all. And I get it. It's a business, but they really take that it's a business to the next level. And there's just zero room for any error in that organization. They just seem to be quick they move on from the player, they move on from the coach, just no questions asked, we'll find somebody else.
Well, hey, we appreciate it, Jay. As long as they keep winning, we're going to keep coming to this well, man. So we're very superstitious on this show. So as long as the Mammoth win, you're going to be a big part of what we're doing here.
Well, it sounds great. I love it.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks. There he is, Jay Stevens, host of the Utah Puck Report. You can find that at KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good, the bad, the ugly. Coming up next, right here on The Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
Hey, I know that things are kind of in flux right now here on this show. Lloyd, we're still going to do a major pain in the butt, though, right?
Well, I think we should.
I think it's a tradition unlike any other.
Jinx. Unlike any other, yes.
We
should.
We have to.
something that we've always done.
We've always done.
Always done.
And look, while we may be in a bit of a transition mode here on the show, I think listeners want a little bit of stability. One other thing that we always have before every major is an opportunity for you to win big. And right now, it's the Copper Rock Masters giveaway. Be caller number 12 right now at 801-575-ZONE, and you will be assigned a golfer in this year's Masters. Now, if your golfer ends up winning, you will win 18 holes for two at Copper Rock Golf Course in Hurricane and a $100 gas gift card. Copper Rock, where the pros play. So if you want those 2 rounds, all you have to do is be caller number 12, 801-575-ZONE. Lloyd will then tell you what golfer you're going to be assigned to, and you just keep track of that golfer. If he wins, then you win. It's that simple. And it's always nice to have a little dog in the fight, have somebody out there that you're fired up to watch play golf. So again, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. Caller 12, and you will get a golfer. And look, it's all random. We don't have these things lined out, but Lloyd might give you a good one today, just for hanging with us on a Monday. All right, the good. In case you missed it, it came down earlier in the show at around noon as Utah State Mason Falslev announcing that Mason will be back for his final year at Utah State. So, it's always kind of a joke around that team. The DMs are always heating up. And I know the transfer portal technically does not open up until tomorrow. Yep, April 7th is when usually when the portal will open up. But Carson Templin has already announced that he is re-signed with Utah State. So the Aggies keep their big man. And now Mason Falslev has announced he is re-signed. So neither one of those two, I guess Carson officially entered the portal for a moment, and then they got him taken care of, and now Mason Falslev back. I'm sure there are other players that Utah State is working very, very hard on keeping. And look, the Barbarians are at the gate. You win games. You're a Mountain West Conference regular season champion. You're a Mountain West Conference tournament champion. You win your first round of the NCAA tournament as a 9 seed. Sure, there's going to be people that are going to be clamoring for your services. Utah State already lost their head coach, Ben Jacobson, now the head coach of Utah State. And if you're Mason Falslev, you got recruited by Craig Smith, even though you went to Utah. So he has familiarity with Craig Smith, went on his mission, came back, and was under Ryan Odom for his redshirt year, played his freshman year with Danny Sprinkle, his sophomore, junior year with Jared Calhoun, and now he'll have Ben Jacobson. Those are 5 Utah State coaches that he has been familiar with during his time, whether being recruited or playing for at Utah State. And if you're Mason, look, if he were to decide to go somewhere else, nobody would blame him. Look, you want to go somewhere else and test your waters for your senior year, go to a blue blood, totally makes sense. And let's be honest here, financials are a part of this. They just are. I know that BYU kind of shied away from the financial aspect of A.J. DeBonsa. And look, A.J. had to choose BYU. I'm sure the money was equal or maybe even a little bit more to go somewhere else, but A.J. chose BYU. But BYU's not in the equation if they're not close financially. So, again, financial aspects are a part of it. Did Mason maybe leave a little money on the table to come back to Logan? Yeah, probably. But did Utah State also come up in a big way financially to make sure that he is well compensated based on market values? Yes. And I think that's ultimately what you take away from this. If you're a Utah State fan, your athletic department's not messing around. They are not messing around one bit. So when it comes to being able to provide the financial wherewithal to be able to compete on a year-in and year-out basis in this conference, Utah State's coming to play. Now, are they in the $10 to $20 million range? No. But are they probably, after this and Templin, probably in the 5 to 6, maybe 7 million range? Yeah, I think that's about right. And it's crazy to think about, but that's the reality of where you have to be. If you're going to play in this conference, and if you want to consider yourself a big-time program, then you have to act like it, which means you have to spend like it. And Utah State right now is doing that and allowing Mason Falslev to come back for another year. All right, there's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
All right. Look, Lloyd, I don't know. Where's Augusta on your bucket list in terms of going and watching? Obviously, we'll never play there. But just going there to watch a Masters round.
It is probably in my top 3.
Okay.
Might even be number 1.
Because
it's up there.
Look, it's the cathedral of golf, right?
Imagine just walking walking that course and following along whoever and just thinking of all the history, the rich history that is on that golf course.
You're eating a $2 pimento cheese sandwich.
Yes.
And you're walking up
affordable.
Up and down the fairways of one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful golf course in the world. And with that, you want to respect it. You want to appreciate the fact that this is a very special place. When I first saw this story, I thought it was John Daly, but no, it's Jason Day. Jason Day is the one that's getting barked at by Augusta because he looks like a clown show out there. Now you're a birder, Lloyd. He ended up wearing his Birds of Georgia vest at a practice round at Augusta, and he had his other tops planned for the week. And they're all very much bird related. They're all a little obnoxious. They're all a little ugly.
Okay, let's not say obnoxious. Let's not say ugly.
They are ugly.
They are not.
They are very ugly.
I am so jealous that I don't have this. That I don't have one of these vests.
Lloyd, come on.
No. These are amazing.
You can't be rocking Augusta wearing this. You have to show a little respect to the course.
You know what? I think you're wrong. What's wrong with these vests with like birds on them? I think these are awesome.
They're ugly. And you see what he's wearing on Wednesday? Looks like a fishing vest. And then he's got a bird hoodie he's wearing on Thursday. Friday, look, I hope this man does not make the cut because he's looking awful. And then on Sunday, he's got like a what is that? Like a sweater. Like what do you call those things? Like an old 80s sweater.
Yeah, it does have a...
We used to have a name for it, but nobody can really utter that name anymore, but it's like a Cosby sweater.
I think you're actually off on this.
I cannot believe you're on board with these.
I think these and I'm, by the way, you know me, I'm a kind of a traditionalist when it comes to stuff like this. But I'm you know what? I think these are sweet. Okay, I mean, I kind of understand where you're coming from a little bit with the guys, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? So what? They're too stuffy over there anyways right now. They are way too stuffy.
No,
absolutely.
If there's a place that's allowed
too stuffy.
That's okay to be stuffy, it's Augusta. You can be stuffy at Augusta. Now he's dressing like he's going to the waste management thing in Phoenix. I mean, that's what he's dressed like. He looks like a clown show.
I hope he's carrying some binoculars as he's traveling down the fairway and jotting down birds as he goes. Complete the big year, my man. That's what I'm rooting for. Well, I think this is phenomenal.
I think you should take him in your major pain of the butt draft, just based on wardrobes alone.
I'm not going to because he's been terrible since he got vertigo. And I don't know if I don't even know how well he's playing these days. But
so the company is called Malbon. And they are sponsoring Jason Day. And you want to hear the genesis of where this vest is coming from? It's not to honor Georgia. It's not to honor Augusta.
No.
It's saying if you are on the course and you are tuned in with nature and know the sounds of the birds, the birdies on the golf course will follow.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, Scotty?
Bum, 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 bum,
no,
bum.
Stop.
You would, if I said that, you would car crash me for sure.
No, I wouldn't. Absolutely not.
Yes,
I think that's, you know what? I like it.
It's inspired. Each one of these birds has a different meaning. I've been sending the noises of the birds to Jason for the last 6 months. Hopefully, he's trying to stay in touch with nature. All right, so, okay, let's be honest here. Jason Day's just cashing a check.
Yeah.
So Jason Day's like, look, you put me in whatever you want. As long as that check clears, I don't care.
He hasn't been really winning anyways.
Exactly.
I don't know what his win totals are. I have no idea.
My earning potentials, but here you got an owner that you wake up in the middle of the, at 5 a.m. in the morning, and this guy's sending you, hey, listen to this red-breasted bluebird. It's like, wait, I don't want to hear this at 5 o'clock in the morning. But he's like, look, I want you to tune in with these birds. I'm like, this dude's a nut, man. This guy's crazy. But apparently he's rich. So, yeah, Jason's going to cash the check.
And can you blame Jason for cashing the check?
No, not at all.
Okay, then. So you're on board.
No,
okay.
Look, I don't blame him. I just think that it's disrespectful to Augusta.
Oh, geez.
Again, wear this at the
Somebody.
waste. Wear this at the waste management or the PGA. If you want to wear it major, wear it to the PGA Championship. Whatever, but not Augusta.
No, I think you're wrong on this.
All right.
And there is the nature. You know what? I don't even know how much I'd be actually watching the golf. The nature at Augusta, I bet it has to be rich. I might be just checking out the birds.
Oh, I'm sure you would. Yeah.
Just saying, man.
All right.
I don't hate it.
Here's your bad. Let's get to the ugly.
And of course, the ugly.
So this was a weird situation over the weekend, and everybody caught it. South Carolina beats UConn. UConn suffers their first loss of the season in the women's NCAA tournament. And Gino Auriemma, who's been at UConn forever and is kind of like the godfather, if you will, of college women's basketball, I'd say he and Pat Summitt are probably the two that are ultimately responsible to the success of where the game is right now. Caitlin Clark obviously had a big part to do with it over the last several years. But Gino Auriemma's been an institution. Well, his team loses for the first time all year, and then he gets mixed up with Dawn Staley at midcourt, and they start barking at each other. And look, Dawn Staley, she'll fire right back at you. She's a competitor. She's played. So she's not going to back down from anybody. And the reason he got upset is because, and here's his quote, "There's no excuse for that's his apology. We'll get to the apology here in a bit. But he said he was upset because Dawn Staley did not come out and immediately and have the pregame handshake. He said he had to wait 3 minutes, a whole 3 minutes for the pregame handshake with Dawn Staley. And then he was upset about the lack of fouls. He said that Dawn Staley was ranting and raving at the officials and calling them names you didn't want to ever have to hear. And now he's apologized.
By the way, he's not the only person that's grumpy about how long it takes to get whatever. Patino, he was upset about not going first when he lost. He thinks the losing team should go first, should talk first, so that they can get out of the way for the winning team.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he thinks they should go first.
Okay.
Did you see that?
I did not see that.
When they lost, yeah. He was very upset when they lost that they didn't go first. His advice to the NCAA, yeah, that they should have the losing team wait and celebrate and all that stuff, and let the losing team hurry get out of the way, and then let the losing team go first, and the winning team go second.
Yeah, that's how they do it in the so the Mountain West Conference tournament. That's how they do it.
Do you like it?
No, yeah, I like it because if your team wins, you want to kind of settle in, kind of make sure you got everything all ready to go.
It took so long for them to have to get a chance to talk.
Yeah, if you lose, I would think the losers would want to go immediately. And so because the NCAA wants to kick you out. They want to get you out of there.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
But, the thing about the NCAA tournament, I've said this forever, and being with Utah State, and I'll travel with the team, doing the radio play-by-play, is there is the whiplash of emotions and how you're treated at the tournament is remarkable. So when you go and let's say you're on the charter, the NCAA will bring a charter flight to you. You don't have to deal with any of the travel logistics. Okay, they will bring the plane to you wherever you're at. It's a massive plane. You'll load up your cheerleaders, your band, your boosters, your team, your coaches, all their wives, all the kids. Everybody gets on this massive charter plane, and then you fly to whatever city. Usually you have like one bus if you're going on a road game. I think they've got like 4 buses for you. So everybody's comfortable on these massive buses. You go to your team assigned hotel and you get off. And usually sometimes there'll be a band playing. All the hotel employees will be out there clapping for you. They have this huge, massive welcome party for the teams when they come in off the bus. And everybody's excited to see you. You then go to the arena. You have your walkthroughs and your shoot-arounds. And, man, it is just awesome. It is, you get treated like gold. And then you lose. And then it's like, get out. And they get you
and
on
then all of a sudden, that plane, that big plane that you used to have, it looks like the plane from the movie Major League.
Yes, they got duct tape around the fuselage. I mean, it is.
You're having to take the yellow cab instead of these nice transport.
Like, they want you out immediately, and so they just kick you to the curb and like, poop, you're gone. We're like, what happened to all that red carpet stuff? Like, no, you lost. Boom, you're out. And they want you gone. So this isn't surprising to me. But honestly, if you're Gino, look, dude, you're kind of a big deal in this sport. Act like it.
I agree with that.
He kind of came off like a petulant little punk, honestly.
He's grumpy. He lost. Absolutely.
I know
he's grumpy. He's lost, yeah.
And look, his team they were undefeated going into that game and the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing. And you got curb stomped. I mean, frankly, they took you behind the woodshed and roughed you up pretty good. And, yeah, like, show some class. Like, one thing I always look at coaches, like, your team is going to feed off your emotions. And that's why it's so important, I think, for coaches to have a certain level of stability. Dan Hurley's antics drive me nuts. But you would expect something like that from Dan Hurley because that's just kind of who he is. Gino, it never really struck me as that kind of guy. And to see him go off like that,
By the way, can we stop with that's expected from him, from Dan Hurley, because that's just who he is. That just makes it okay. No, it's not okay for him to be a lunatic. That's what it's become. That's just who he is. He's just very passionate. No, he's a nut job, and he shouldn't be getting in the face of a referee, and he should have actually been teed up for that.
Honestly, if Jared Calhoun at Utah State puts his forehead into an official like that, that's a tee up, and that's.
I think that happens to dang near anybody.
Duke has a chance to win that game with free throws.
Yeah, absolutely, and they should have.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. You know what? That's a good point.
It's like, I know that guy. Well, yeah, but I don't care how much you know him or what. You just put your head right into your dome right into his head.
Yeah, and it's probably gross and sweaty.
I know. Yeah. I don't care if it was passion. You were just passionate. It's just who you are.
It's kind of like when your kid acts up all the time and then you just get used to it. And so you just accept it, that's who they are. When in reality, Junior needs a little bit of a lesson and can't be acting like that all the time.
That's just how Jackie Blue is. You know what?
No, maybe that's on us. Maybe the problem's us because we've accepted it for so long. I think you got a good point there. You know what? That's fair. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ben Anderson's going to join us coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. We'll talk some jazz with him. It's all straight ahead right here on The Zone.
You're locked on to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This one is really interesting. Mike Malone, and we talked about this earlier in the show, but I think this is a really, really fascinating hire by North Carolina. And I said earlier that I felt like this is the type of hire that when you immediately see it, you immediately think to yourself, this won't end well. And I'm going to stick by that. I don't think this ends well in Chapel Hill at all for North Carolina. I think Mike Malone is really super abrasive. And in this day and age, when you've got transfer portals and you've got a kid who can leave at any given moment, I don't think that is going to fly at all in North Carolina. I just don't see this being successful. Now,
better suited for the old days.
Yes.
Not being able to transfer so easily.
Yeah. You know, if you're Bear Bryant, you're screaming and yelling at your kids and making them earn a water break, that's Mike Malone. I don't think that's going to fly in this day and age when North Carolina is going after the highest of high-priced five-star athletes. So these kids are going to come in demanding playing time. They've already demanded and got their money. They're probably going to be looking at what can you do for me to get me into the NBA right now? And if they don't like what they're getting in terms of playing time, in terms of style of play, they're out. They're out.
Let's be honest. With the money that they're being paid now, they're being paid for playing time.
Yes.
Like there is no sitting. Well, that you cannot put that money on the bench. Like that's not what they're for. Because they're gonna be like, well, why is that? We're paying all this money. Why is he on the bench? What am I paying for?
And North Carolina's got a lot of mega boosters. I mean, look, these guys just fired one of their own in Hubert Davis. So it's one thing when you're an NBA coach and you're used to answering to an owner and a general manager. Well, now you're going to be answering to an athletic director, a school president, and then probably 10 to 15 massive donors who will demand that they have your cell phone number and will demand that they have access to you at any given moment because guess what? You wanted $3 million for that point guard. He gave you that $3 million. So with that, he bought his access to you and your team. And so when you lose a game at NC State that you had no business losing, guess who's blowing up your phone wondering why the kid that this guy just gave $3 million to isn't on the court in crunch time situations when you went 0 for 4 from the court with or from the floor with under a minute left and lost a game to a team he shouldn't have lost to. He wants to know why because he gave you $3 million. See, that's where Mike Malone isn't going to flourish because he's not what you would call a people person. And I see this ending just horribly. And the other thing, too, let's just take the whole aspect of the rough and nasty persona of Mike Malone out of it. Let's just focus in on NBA coaches have a really hard time going to the collegiate game. And it's not because they're not great coaches. It's just because the game is different. And I think it's actually easier for a coach at the college ranks to go to the NBA level than it is for an NBA coach to come to college. And again, it's no knock on their coaching ability. It's that these college coaches are used to dealing with the lack of spacing, the physicality that you're going to get at the college because the game is so compressed. It's just a different game. It is such a massively different game. And then there's a talent issue. And these coaches, you wonder why. And I think it was David James who told me this. He was talking to a coach. You wonder why there are 8 timeouts, it seems like, at the end of a college game. After every possession, people are calling a timeout because these college coaches know they have to coach every single solitary play. They know that they have to be on their team nonstop because they're dealing with teenagers and guys in their early 20s. They screw up a lot. NBA players have been around the block. They know what they're supposed to do. You don't have to call a ton of timeouts, and you can let them figure it out. You can't do that. You can't do that at the college ranks. You have to be on them nonstop. And I don't know, man. This looks bad. North Carolina is a blue blood. They got everything cooking for them. They should be winning right there with Duke, with UConn. They should be in that conversation year in and year out. And they're not, and it doesn't appear that they're going to get that way. Now, look, I might have to swallow a little humble pie. I'm happy to do it. Look, I like North Carolina.
I
don't think so on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there's any chance of this works.
No.
Unless he's completely reverse course and is a completely different human being, then maybe. But what is with UNC, by the way, swinging at these coaches? Let's talk football with
you got Bill Belichick and Mike Malone hanging out together.
Like there's some bad decision making happening at Chapel Hill.
That's a good point. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ben Anderson joins us next right here on The Zone.